The story here begins with our protagonist, who is a child named Lloyd, who is trying to catch a rabbit. He moves cautiously after the small animal, but when he finally approaches and rushes forward to capture it, the rabbit suddenly disappears. The boy finds the rabbit's disappearance strange until he notices the rabbit jumping toward him and hitting him in the face. After doing that, the rabbit runs away. Lloyd becomes sad about this situation and was about to cry, but his brother, Oshoma, calls out to him, saying he has arrived. While showing the rabbit in his hand, Lloyd becomes happy when he sees his brother and hugs him. Oshoma says that he has grown a lot and that they should go immediately. After all, their grandfather was waiting. The two brothers follow the path to their grandfather and Lloyd asks if things outside are fun. Oshoma notices his younger brother's interest in the outside world and says that Lloyd will have to work harder to leave the village. And right after that he gives him a gift, which had a dragon printed on the cover. Lloyd becomes very happy and runs ahead, saying he loves his brother. Now, in the present time, Lloyd knocks on the door of a cabin and hears a woman telling him to come in, and so he does. When he enters, Lloyd finds a girl sitting with a purple hat on her head. Lloyd asks if she is Mary, the witch from the eastern side, and she replies saying that since ancient times witches grant wishes. However, there was always a price. She tells him to leave if he is not willing to make some sacrifice. However, Lloyd remains standing still. After the witch realizes that he is truly willing, she stands up, points at him, and asks what wish he would sacrifice himself for. Lloyd answers that he came from the countryside to become a soldier and introduces himself as Lloyd Belladonna. He says that he came to her so he could stay for a while. The witch was going to repeat the same sentence as before, the one about witches granting wishes in the form of sacrifices. However, Lloyd interrupts her, saying that he is willing to make such a sacrifice, which makes the woman furious and makes her shout at him, telling him to find an inn or find a notice board. She said that because he said he wanted to be a soldier, and on the notice board he could find some opportunity. She moves away from him, still irritated, and sits in her chair, muttering that she is a witch and not a handyman or an innkeeper. Right after that, she asks from which countryside town he is from, and he answers that he came from a place called Kunlun. The witch was about to tell him to leave again, but she immediately realizes that he said Kunlun, and that makes her remember something. And just for confirmation, she asks the boy the name of the chief of that village, and he quickly answers that her name is Alka. At that moment, he hands her a crystal, and says that they asked him to show that crystal to her. She becomes startled when she sees it, and before she can say what crystal that was, the gemstone makes a symbol close to the ceiling, where a girl appears above the table, telling the witch that she was her master, Alka. The witch immediately bows before her, and Alka explains to her that she sent Lloyd to her so that she would take care of him, and asks the witch to take very good care of him, because that child is very precious. The witch was going to ask something to Alka, but Alka says that the image on the crystal was only a recording, and because of that she could not answer. Alka then says she lied, startling the witch and making her bow again. Alka scolds her for lowering her guard too easily, and finally Alka tells Lloyd that if he feels lonely, he just needs to call her name. And after she departs, the witch stands up and adjusts her clothes. She quickly grabs the crystal and shoots it into a closet. Right after that she calls Alka Grandma Lolly, and finally closes the door. Lloyd apologizes for that, but the witch says it is not his fault. She says that she will take care of him until he takes the admission test, so until that day arrives he must use the room in the back. He thanks her and says that he is looking forward to spending more time with her, and right after that he leaves. Mary sits and thinks that this boy is decent for someone close to that crazy Grandma Lolly. At that moment Alka comes out of the closet, saying that the witch must keep her hands away from the boy. Mary becomes startled and asks how, and Alka says that she used the crystal as a teleportation passage. Mary then asks Grandma Lolly to stop using those superhuman spells as if they were something normal. But Alka continues talking, saying that Lloyd is cute, kind, and pure, being a true angel, and because of that nothing improper can happen. Mary tells her not to worry, because she has no interest in little boys. Right after that Alka comments that Mary called her Grandma Lolly many times today, and because of that she punished her with a misfortune spell. And after saying that Alka leaves, Mary tries to stand up, but she trips and falls to the floor. She complains about Alka, saying that the improper use of ancient runes in the wrong way can end up destroying the world, and now without even being able to stand, she stays on the table complaining until she falls asleep. The next day she wakes up to the sound of something being fried and realizes that she is covered with a blanket. Lloyd comes to her wishing her a good morning and saying that he is using her kitchen. He gives her a beautiful breakfast. She keeps staring at the food for a while, and because of that Lloyd asks if she does not like pancakes, but she answers that she actually loves them and thanks him. After eating they sit down and she asks the reason why he wants to be a soldier, and he comments that even though he is the weakest in his village, not being able to even gather firewood or fish, he always wanted to be a soldier because of a romance book he read, and because he admired the hero of that book so much, he decided to follow that path. The witch states that to be a soldier he needs to know how to fight, and Lloyd says that she is right, and reveals that he does not have much energy, since it took him 6 days to arrive at that place. Mary says that he took the correct amount of time, since he lives far away, and coming by train would take more or less that long. She asks if he came by train, and he answers that he came running. Mary becomes surprised and says that he must actually have plenty of energy, but Lloyd says that his grandfather would do it in 3 days. She asks if he saw any monsters on the way, but he denies it, saying that he only saw some giant animals. Mary says that those are monsters, but he laughs and tells her that he knows how to differentiate monsters from animals, and that monsters are the ones that keep saying that they are going to conquer the world. And finally, Mary exclaims that the ones who say that are the demon lord. She hits the table and makes the coffee spill onto her face. Lloyd wipes her face while she says that he is very strong, and he thanks her, saying that she is a very kind woman. Suddenly, she notices that her skin was extremely soft, and when she looks in the mirror, she realizes that her skin was even prettier. And Lloyd explains that this is a trick he learned using a certain rune. That way, he cleans any imperfection in a perfect way. The witch laments, saying that the rune is called disenchantment, and that she spent 3 years trying to learn it. And shocking the witch even more, Lloyd says that he can also make rain fall, and the witch exclaims that this is not a simple spell. Next, she presses her head against the wall, and Lloyd goes to her asking if she is okay. And she says that the first thing she needs to teach him is how to have a sense of what is common and what is not. After that, while walking through the city, Lloyd realizes that the city is very crowded, and he believes that it must be because of the selection of the best soldier. However, he hears some men talking, saying that apparently there are some infiltrated spies, and some men who want to send monsters into the city. Lloyd realizes that he was misunderstanding their conversation, and tells himself that he needs to focus so he can do well in the first task. Nearby Lloyd, a man bumps into a hooded woman with blonde hair, and immediately the man recognizes her, saying that she is the princess of the belt, and that the theory about her applying to the academy was true. The girl steps away until she enters an alley, where she suddenly notices a giant grasshopper that comes to attack her. She dodges it with a jump. However, even after her dodge, the creature attacks her again, forcing her to jump and grab her sword, but it is useless. After all, the grasshopper moves its wings, creating a wind so strong that it throws the girl against the wall. After hitting the wall, the girl is falling to the ground, and finally the creature was going to devour her. But at the last moment, Lloyd appears from the skies, landing a 2-footed kick to the grasshopper's head, and after that Lloyd grabs the creature as if it were nothing, and throws it far away. He says that he did not know there were so many insects in the city. After that, Lloyd goes to the girl and helps her stand up. He wipes her face with his special cloth, since her face was covered with mud. The girl turns her back, embarrassed, and he says that he needs to go, because he is already on a mission. Before he leaves, she introduces herself, saying that she is Selen, and he answers that he is Lloyd, and right after that he leaves, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. After that, in an inn, Selen looks at herself in the mirror and thinks about Lloyd, saying that the next time she meets him she wants to be wearing makeup. However, she sees the belt and remembers that she was cursed to keep that on her head, and when her father brought some specialists to help, the man said that only someone very strong could remove it. She cries, saying that she wanted to become strong, so she could remove that from her face on her own, and she promises to herself that she will take off the belt, even if she has to tear off her own face. She pulls the belt, and in that moment, the belt comes off easily, and she falls to her knees, realizing that the one who did that was Lloyd. She thinks about how strong he is and reaches the conclusion that he is the person she should be with forever. At the witch's house, she tells Lloyd that he did very well in his mission. His mission was to bring her a few things, and she congratulates him. He smiles and gives her a gift that he bought, and right after that he goes to prepare dinner. The next day, the day of the test, 2 people at a window talk while one of them, who is a girl, watches the candidates in the street. The girl notices the number of candidates and says that Meltham must have worked hard, and Meltham is the man beside her, and he says that this was necessary for the kingdom's peace. After all, relations with the neighboring city are bad, and the princess is still missing. So in that way, the nation's stability depends on military strength. The girl agrees, but asks if that is not risky. She looks out the window, looking directly at hero Flavin, known as the one-armed mercenary. Meltham says that she is a mercenary, and that with the right contract she would not cause trouble for the kingdom. She asks what kind of contract he intends to make, and he says that he will make a contract that clears her name. She sighs until she hears Alan, the eldest son of a noble family, arguing with the princess of the cursed belt, who simply ignores him as always, and she even has her hair cut now. Meltham says that Alan is very ambitious, and that he accepted the invitation he made right away. Hero, the mercenary, is looking at the people, noticing that they have many good candidates, but she thinks that it was time to face reality, and she looks to the side very tense, looking exactly at Lloyd, asking herself what kind of monster that was. She notices that he seems to be a completely ordinary boy, but that he surely has nothing ordinary about him, and that any wrong move she makes could end up killing her. Lloyd talks to himself, saying that he is nervous, making her flinch and go into an attack stance, which ends up catching Lloyd's attention, who says that her arm is very cool. She becomes even more startled, but Lloyd stands up and apologizes for speaking to her out of nowhere and introduces himself. She also introduces herself, afraid of dying, but as soon as she finishes saying her name, Selin, that blonde girl from before, appears pushing the mercenary against the wall. Selin looks at Lloyd with a completely love-struck gaze, radiating energy and affection. She calls him Lord Lloyd several times, and Lloyd recognizes her, asking if she is the person he saw the other day, and she immediately confirms it, saying that she is Selin, and that she is at his service. Lloyd asks if she also wants to become a soldier, and Selin once again answers that her body belongs entirely to him. Meanwhile, the mercenary, who is not foolish, tries to slip away quietly, but Selin grabs her head very quickly and approaches her, asking who she is. Hero asks if she is blind, and Lloyd says that she is Miss Hero, someone he just met. And upon realizing that Hero is no one important, Selin lets her go and quickly goes back to talking to Lloyd. Hero keeps looking at Lloyd, realizing that he is just a boy from the countryside who is incredibly strong, and that this smelled like easy money. After that, a soldier says that the test will begin, revealing that all candidates would attack a doll using any type of weapon. Many complain, saying that the doll was thick and ask how many layers of metal the doll has, but in the end everyone organizes into line. Mildfang was there watching Lloyd. At that moment, Hero goes to him and calls him. He asks if she wants to give up the contract, and she says obviously not, since she can earn easy money and also clear her name. She says that what she actually wanted was to ask about Lloyd, asking what was going on. Mildfang says that he does not know, since Lloyd is only a volunteer, but he says that even if everyone in that city went against him, they still could not defeat him. Hero then leaves the conversation, since it would soon be her group's turn, and he tells her not to mess everything up. After all, if she fails here, she will become a criminal, and she smiles, saying that his warning was very encouraging. After the conversation, that girl from earlier, the one talking with Mildfang, calls him to help her, making him think that he should not focus so much on only one candidate, but that even so he was excited to see how monstrous that boy really was. At the witch's house, Mary was thinking about Lloyd's result, and in that moment Alka comes out of the closet, telling Mary to make her some coffee. She makes. The witch gets startled and spit out her coffee, and Alka says that today will be the day of Lloyd's results. So she is very worried. Mary asks why she is worried, since even though Lloyd thinks he is weak, he is still a very incredible boy. While she is talking, Alka sits down, pulling a cup from her clothes, and serving herself coffee, making Mary scream, asking how she does that with such natural ease. But Alka simply continues what she was saying, explaining that Lloyd is from the village where the ancient saviors of the world found rest far away from civilization. He came from the legendary village, on the edge of the sinister, the final dungeon named Kunlun, and finally Mary asks how someone like him could possibly fail. After that, we see Lloyd staring at the notice board among the crowd, searching for his name. But after looking for a long time, even after everyone has already left, he finally realizes that his name is not there. Inside the academy hall, Hiro and Selin search desperately for Lloyd in the place, but fail to find him, and they wonder if there is a possibility that he was rejected in the test. Hiro notices that Melton is also searching for the boy in the room, and he is even checking the papers to see if he can find the boy's name, until his colleague calls him, signaling that it is his turn to speak. Melton, still confused, starts saying nonsense, causing his colleague to knock him to the floor. The woman then speaks about their main focus, which is to find the missing princess, and while the woman talks, the three who are worried about Lloyd continue searching for him. Melton can no longer imagine his military forces without that boy. Hiro is sad because she lost the easy money, and Selin is sad because she lost the love of her life. They remain in this concern until the woman says that whoever finds the princess has the right to ask for whatever they want, and that is how the three discover what they must do. Meanwhile, Lloyd is out on the street depressed, walking while thinking that it is sad to have been rejected, but he knows he is weak, so this result was already expected. After all, he was bad in the written exam, and in the martial arts exam, he keeps walking until he sees a poster announcing a job opening. In that moment, a giant grasshopper attacks him, but with a simple punch Lloyd sends it flying far away, and quickly enters the establishment, and as soon as he enters, a man attacks him by jumping at him, but Lloyd simply dodges easily to the side. The angry man asks what he wants, and Lloyd answers that he wants to work, since he saw a sign saying that he is hiring. The man thinks about how dangerous this boy must be, since the moment he felt that aura, he attacked the boy purely by reflex. He thinks the boy must be a spy or something like that, so the man asks what he knows how to do, and Lloyd answers saying that he knows how to cook and clean. The man is shocked by these two things because he expected the boy to want to fight him. So to find out more about this boy, he tells Lloyd to start by cooking. While Lloyd cooks, the man keeps watching him and wondering if he really is just a normal boy. But he remembers the speed of that dodge, and that makes him certain that Lloyd is not normal. While Lloyd prepares everything, he comments that he was rejected in the academy test. He says that the people from his homeland threw a big celebration when he left, so he does not want to return home empty-handed, so he will try again next year. The man doubts his rejection because there is no way a boy with such a monstrous aura could be rejected in a military exam. The trio that was worried about Lloyd ends up taking a look at his answers from the written exam, and Melfin asks what that even is, because it looks like he only scribbled or drew on the test. Selin wonders why Lloyd drew that, until Melfin's colleague arrives hitting him with a fan, asking if he is still fooling around, and right after that she says she wants to know who this Lloyd is. Selin shows the test and says that he is a unique individual who cannot contain his artistic impulses, referring to his drawings, and Hyro reveals the woman's name, calling her Corin, and saying that Selin is the only idiot there. Corin looks at the test asking what it is and suddenly gets impressed by something. Melfin says the boy deserved to fail, but Corin says those are ancient runes. Everyone becomes confused about what that is, including Melfin, and that makes Corin hit him. She says he ordered her to research it, saying that researching this would be of great importance to the nation. And now he acts like he does not know anything. She asks the girls where Lloyd is, and they say they do not know. Back at the establishment, Lloyd finally finishes, revealing it to be a tomato risotto with fish. The man, who is actually a former royal guard named Chromie, thinks that Lloyd must be waiting for him to become vulnerable, since humans become vulnerable while eating, but even so he accepts the challenge, finally going to taste the food. At the academy, Hyro asks what ancient runes are, and Corin says that when combined with the caster's magical power, ancient runes can achieve things that normal spells cannot. Corin asks Melfin if he interrogated the person who interviewed Lloyd, and Melfin confirms, saying that aside from what he wrote on the exam, Lloyd also said he only knows how to use rain magic, and Hyro asks why he would lie, and Corin says that maybe he did not lie, and that maybe he can actually summon rain, since he uses ancient runes, and finally, in short, she says that Lloyd might truly have incredible powers. And returning to the scene, Chromie has finally finished eating the risotto until almost nothing is left. He was really impressed with the flavor and said everything was very delicious. He concludes that he needs to keep an eye on Lloyd, and for that reason he hires him. In the academy hallway, there are now 4 people interested in Lloyd. They are walking and talking about this boy. Corin says she wants to see him using ancient runes, and Selin tells her not to worry. After all, she wants to find the princess, and with her request, she will make Lloyd be accepted in the academy. Corin says that this is an excellent idea, and Lloyd returns to the witch's house and says that unfortunately, he failed, which greatly surprises Alka and Mary. Alka says that it is time to destroy this entire kingdom, but Mary asks her not to do that. Alka says that she is joking and that she will destroy only 20% of the whole kingdom. Lloyd interrupts their conversation and says that Alka should let him retake the test next year, and because of that he wants to stay a little longer with the witch. He also says that he will pay rent to her, and reveals that he has even gotten a job already. Mary says that she does not mind him at all, but the final decision belongs to Alka, who sighs and allows it, since she cannot say no to Lloyd. Lloyd becomes very happy and goes to cook dinner. After he leaves, Mary asks why Alka let him stay there, and she answers saying that she cannot say no to such a cute boy. When Alka is almost leaving, Mary asks why she does not help with the situation, since she is right there. They were facing several problems, and now would be a perfect moment for her to help them. Alka then says that her people can only intervene if it is a greater threat, and that with basic matters like this, they should handle things on their own. She leaves saying that she will return soon, but Mary asks her not to return so soon, calling her Granny Lully. In that instant, Alka returns, and says that she cursed her again, and now every time she says Granny Lully, something bad will happen in her life. In that moment, Mary starts feeling severe cramps in her leg, making her fall, and in her pain on the floor she calls Alka Granny Lully again, having yet another painful cramp. Angry, Mary grabs the crystal Alka uses to return there, and throws it to the bottom of the well. Meanwhile, Hyro and Melfin talk in a tavern, and the mercenary says that Selin will solve the issue of finding Lloyd. After all, she claims that both of them are in a very serious relationship. This way, the two of them can focus on finding the missing princess. Melfin says quietly that this nation needs Lloyd for the war that is approaching. However, Hyro does not hear him. Melfin finds it strange that this place is so full, After all, the food here is normally not very good and far too expensive, not to mention that the floor used to be very greasy, and now everything is very clean. In that moment, Chromie arrived with their dishes, telling them to shut their mouths. Meltfin is surprised with the look of the dish, and when both of them taste it, they realize the food is very good. Meltfin asks Chromie what happened, and the owner of the place says that he hired a new employee. While Meltfin asks who would ever want to work with this man, Lloyd appears calling for the boss and saying that the omelet rice is ready. Chromie thanks him and asks him to take the trash outside. In that moment, Meltfin grabs Chromie by the collar and asks what that boy is doing there. Chromie asks if he knows him, and Meltfin says that actually he does not. Chromie comments that he hired him to keep an eye on him and asks why he was rejected. Lloyd goes out to take the trash, and in that moment he is attacked by another giant grasshopper. However, he simply grabs the creature by its antennae and throws it into the sky. Right after that, Lloyd is walking through the city and sees Mary entering an alley. Soon after, some soldiers enter the same alley, saying that there are monsters around. Worried, Lloyd follows right after her, and on the other side of the alley, Alan is once again trying to fight Selin, since she heard a man who was flirting with her by ripping the hair off his chest. Alan says that actions like this affect the positions of nobles, but Selin does not listen. Alan understands that talking is useless, so he grabs his axe and prepares to fight. Selin also raises her sword and says that he is the one who will learn a lesson, but Alan quickly jumps, attacking her with the axe. He was too fast for her to react. However, before anything else, the belt around her waist appears and protects her, throwing his axe far away, leaving him completely defenseless. Selin looks at her belt protecting her and concludes that this is a blessing from Lloyd, and that makes her even more in love. At that moment, Lloyd arrives looking for the supposed monsters, but only finds the crowd gathered around the two of them. Selin sees him and becomes extremely embarrassed. She quickly goes to the boy, saying that it was destiny for him to be there, and that she owes her life to Lloyd. At that instant, everyone arrives asking what was happening. Selin says that Lloyd came to save her from Alan, calling him a brute. Meltfin notices the situation and wants to see how Lloyd fights. He encourages Alan to face him. Corin asks why he is doing that, but Meltfin says that this is the boy of the ancient runes, so Corin also encourages the fight. Alan thinks they are saying this because they want to see what he is capable of, so he walks to Lloyd and asks to fight him. Lloyd says he is very weak, but because Alan insists, he accepts. Hyro asks Meltfin if Alan will survive, and Meltfin answers that yes, after all he is very strong. He only needs to be careful. However, Alan says he will give Lloyd an advantage, allowing him to punch him first in the face, and because of that Meltfin and Hyro are certain he will die. Lloyd gets ready and goes to strike, and his strength is so tremendous that the wind around him starts to be pierced by his fists, and before he could even touch Alan with his punch, the shock of the blow was already reaching him. Chromie yells to stop Lloyd, but in that moment a tornado of wind forms in the area, and Lloyd disappears, but Chromie notices Mary flying inside the tornado, along with Lloyd, far away, on top of a rooftop. Lloyd thanks Mary for saving him, even though what happened was actually something else. She simply prevented him from killing someone, but Lloyd is very happy for being saved, and he is willing to do anything for her since she saved his life, which makes Mary's nose bleed. She tells Lloyd that he should not promise to do anything like that, because a bad person could end up taking advantage of him, but he says that she is a good person, making her nose bleed again. In that moment, Chromie calls Lloyd. The two come down and Chromie tells Lloyd to return to work, staying alone with Mary. Chromie says that he knew that previous magical wind was hers. Mary says that it has been a long time since she last saw him. He bows and kneels down, and then they talk about their plan to discover what happened to the king. She says that soon they will put an end to this matter. Mary asks Chromie to investigate the person responsible for doing this to the king, and he promises to do so. At the academy, Corin says that Meltfin is working very hard, and he answers that all of this is for the peace of the nation. Corin asks why he tries so hard, and he explains that when he was a child, his village was suffering from hunger and poverty, and in this difficult situation, the enemy army attacked their village, taking all the remaining supplies. Meltfin says that he will never let something like that happen again. On the street, Selin and Hyro are walking together, heading to Witch Mary's house to exchange some information. When they knock on the door, the one who answers is Lloyd, surprising both of them. After entering, Selin becomes extremely tense and nervous, asking herself why Lord Lloyd lives with the witch. Hyro asks if she did not know. After all, were they not dating? But Selin says that they are hopelessly in love, and that they have been bound by destiny ever since they met, exactly 1 week ago. And Hyro finally understands that Selin fell hopelessly in love with Lloyd after he removed the curse from her belt. At that moment, Mary arrives, lying on the couch and asking Lloyd for a beer with magical ice. Lloyd confirms her request and says he will also cook. She becomes very happy, until she notices the visitors. Selin was overflowing with jealousy back there. Lloyd introduces them as his friends, and they mention that they came here to buy information. Meanwhile, Hyro realizes that her face looks familiar, and Hyro hands her the princess's photo, saying that she is searching for her. Mary says she does not know the princess's whereabouts in a very nervous way, and Hyro realizes she is hiding something while thinking that she resembles the princess. However, Selin wants to question Mary, so she asks how long she has lived there. Mary answers that she has lived there for 2 years, leaving Selin so sad that Mary thinks she is crying because she is someone of royal blood like her. After all, it is already obvious that she is the missing princess, and living a hidden life like this is extremely frustrating. However, in reality, Selin was frustrated because she believed Mary was Lloyd's wife, and because of that she asks to hear the truth from her own mouth. Mary, confused, says she will say it, and then both speak at the same time, with Mary saying she is the princess, and Selin saying she is Lloyd's wife. Mary replies that she is not, and that at most she would be making Selin extremely happy, while Hyro stands up and slams the table, asking if she really is the princess, but Mary hides her face and says she is not. After this entire situation, they start again. Selin asks Mary if she knows the princess's whereabouts, and Mary asks why they doubt her, and she says she needs to find out in order to place Lloyd in the academy. Mary becomes happy upon hearing that they are doing this for Lloyd's sake, and suggests an exchange. She tells them where the princess is, while they protect the kingdom from all the dangers that are about to come. But before anything else, Hyro wants to know who the witch is, and Mary says that perhaps they already know. And as she is about to reveal her identity, Lloyd enters the room saying he already knows who she is, and he concludes by saying she is the kingdom's hidden heroine who acts secretly to save people. He believes this truth because he thinks she killed a monster those soldiers saw earlier and also saved him from that problem. He says he heard her speaking about the kingdom's issues, and because of that, he wants to help her. Mary smiles and says she really is a heroine, but that Lloyd is far too weak to assist her. He says he will try harder, and she says his words are useless, telling him he must work even harder if he wants to become a hero. Lloyd is affected by her words, but she continues being harsh, convincing him that he is extremely weak and cannot do anything. Soon after, he walks to his room feeling sad, and after all of this, she asks the 2 girls for help freeing the royal family from the evil affecting them. She reveals that she is the princess of the kingdom of Azami, named Maria Azami. Hyro thanks her for revealing the truth, but asks why she lied to Lloyd and why she insulted him by calling him weak when he is actually extremely strong. Mary then explains that he is from a place called Kunwan, and that people from there cannot interfere in human matters in any way, and because of that, she pushed him away from the problem. After all, if he gets involved, his people may come take him back and end his dreams. They understand that perfectly, and then the princess asks them to investigate in the streets who is spreading the request to find the princess dead or alive, and they accept the mission. Meanwhile, lying in his room, Lloyd thinks Mary is right. He is too weak and truly needs to become stronger. He says this while looking at the book he received from his brother. On top of the house, as the day turns to night, Mary thinks that she only needs to free her father using the disenchantment rune. After all, the king is being controlled by something forcing him to make terrible decisions that will lead to war. At that moment, Alka appears completely soaked behind Mary, asking why her crystal is inside the water. Mary says she did it in an emotional moment, and Alka says she is not angry and that she came to congratulate her, since she heard her conversation with Lloyd. Mary did the right thing by preventing Lloyd from getting involved in ordinary human life, but she reveals that even so, she cursed her so that at the end of every sentence she must say meow. Alka says goodbye while jumping away and saying she wanted to take care of Lloyd at the festival. Mary exclaims why she would do that when the final confrontation is so close, ending her sentence with meow. Selin and Hyro were in the streets questioning people, and one of the people they questioned mentioned that the man who asked for the princess dead or alive kept repeating that all of this was for the peace of the kingdom. That night, Alka and Lloyd are at a festival. However, Lloyd is extremely depressed because of what happened earlier, and that is why Alka tries to cheer him up by showing how good she is at all the festival games. After trying for a long time, she notices that Lloyd is still feeling down, so she says it is time for the chocolate and banana snack, with her holding the chocolate and Lloyd holding the banana. Yes, she is suggesting something completely inappropriate, and the moment she moves toward Lloyd to go after him, several monsters appear in the festival, drawing everyone's attention. Meanwhile, in the castle, Chromie asks the king to reinstate him in the army, and Meltfin answers that the king has heard, and the answer is yes. Chromie asks if he is sure, since he now knows where the princess is, and says that Maria and some trusted friends are trying to find who cursed the king into declaring war, and that everyone's suspicion led to Meltfin as the one responsible, because the suspect always repeated that everything was for the good of the nation. Meltfin says that the one behind everything is him. The king would never be capable of doing this, so he is the one controlling him. Hyro and Selen arrive soon after, together with Princess Maria, who reveals herself as the witch from the eastern side. At that moment, the king turns to her saying that she had finally appeared, and something glows on his face, showing the possession. He says that he is the one controlling Meltfin, and then transforms him into a monster that begins fighting Hyro. The king leaves, letting the monstrous Meltfin fight them, and Mary goes after him, leaving her friends to deal with Meltfin. In the next room, the king is waiting, seated. Mary arrives and says she will take her father back, while preparing to fire 3 wind tornadoes toward the king. But nothing harms the man, who moves his finger and causes the ceiling to collapse on her. However, she manages to escape unharmed, casting another spell that shoots fire toward the king. Yet he defends himself with an ice spell that creates ice walls. The impact of the spells creates a mist in the area, and Mary uses the distraction to rush forward and strike him. But the king says she has grown, and upon seeing her father's face, Mary hesitates, allowing herself to be caught by a spell that slams her into the ground. The king walks up to Mary, who is on the floor, grabs her by the arm and breaks it. He says he will kill her right there, and Mary thinks she is truly going to die. She thinks about Lloyd, saying she cannot die because she has not apologized to him yet, so she rises and persists, saying she will not die. The king says that all her effort is useless, since soon the entire world will be in his hands, revealing that he is actually the demon lord Abaddon. Mary is shocked to discover that he is a demon lord. Meanwhile, on the other side of the screen, Lloyd flicks the air, sending several monsters flying away, and after defeating all of them, he asks where the monsters making everyone scream are. He senses that something terrible is happening to Mary, and says he will help her, even if she becomes angry with him, even if he is weak, or even if something tries to stop him, he must do something. In the castle, Lloyd is a bit frozen after learning that his enemy is a demon lord. He remembers what Alka said about her people dealing with that kind of threat. She becomes furious and complains that he did not tell her this earlier. The demon lord finds this strange and simply says he will kill her, but Mary now starts running from him, making him chase after her. She says she will make him regret it, because she is running toward Lloyd's Alka, and the demon lord asks how she plans to do that if she is running. In the dark streets, Lloyd kills another monster, and finds Alan hiding in a corner. Lloyd asks what he is doing, and Alan decides to tell the truth, saying he was hiding. After all, he has never fought a monster before. Lloyd says he understands, and that the first monster he ever fought, which was also a demon lord, made him feel the same fear. But the soldier he wants to become would not feel fear, and because of that, he persists. Alan asks if Lloyd truly wants to be a soldier, and Lloyd says he does, although he failed the academy test. While Lloyd is talking, a monster appears behind him to attack, and Alan warns him by shouting for him to be careful. But Lloyd handles the monster with a single slap, throwing it onto another monster further back, and then continues explaining that monsters are frightening. But Alan interrupts, saying he blew up a monster extremely easily, and Lloyd asks which monster, since he sees those monsters as simple insects. Lloyd continues saying that now he could move, and that although it is frightening, Alan is the strongest, and he would be able to defeat the monsters easily. With that said, he runs away, and after Lloyd leaves, Alan walks through the streets thinking about what the boy had said. And at that moment, he sees a monster in an alley. He reflects to himself that he is a soldier, so he charges forward, jumping toward the creature with his axe, striking its head and killing it with a single blow. He thinks he could get used to this, until he looks at the sky and sees a massive red rune, and he wonders what that thing in the sky is. Up above, at the next red rune, Alka notices that those monsters are the work of a demon lord, so she can intervene, and by creating meteors from the rune, she attacks all the monsters for interrupting her date with Lloyd. Meanwhile, in the castle, Crom, Selen, and Hyro fight against Meltvan transformed into a monster, but they struggle. After all, Crom tries to confront him, and ends up being thrown against the wall with a single hit. Hyro then tries to face him, but she cannot, taking such a powerful kick that even defending herself she cannot endure it, and she is thrown against the wall as well. Next, Selin charges in, saying she will call the Lord for help, and because of that she asks Meldvan the monster to attack her. After all, whenever she is in danger, Lloyd appears, and she says that this is fate. She also asks him to leave her a bit undressed, so Lloyd will rescue her that way. After all, she wants to be in his arms with little clothing. The monster attacks her. However, the belt protects her as well, this belt being extremely strong. Hyro asks Selin to hold Meldvan in the fight while she goes to fetch Lloyd, but when she reaches the outside, on the castle balcony, she finds Lloyd. Lloyd enters the place of battle and finds Selin, and says he is happy to see her doing well. Selin runs to him to hug him, but Lloyd turns away and asks Crom if he is okay. At that moment, everyone explains to Lloyd everything that just happened, and Lloyd says he understands while he walks toward the monster, asking if he truly was a soldier. At that moment, the monster runs at him and attacks him with its claw, but Lloyd simply taps its hand, and with another tap he drives the monster into the ground, telling him to stop because he was having a serious conversation. He continues saying that he is a soldier, and that he should be the reason for the safety and the smiles of other people, and that this was the kind of soldier he admired. He asks what kind of soldier Meldvan was, and that truly seems to affect Meldvan, who starts to wonder what kind of soldier he is. Lloyd asks the reason why Meldvan became a soldier, and also asks what was on his mind. Meldvan answers while his monstrous shell begins to fall apart, saying that he became a soldier to protect others, so he can see everyone smile, and so no one goes through what he went through. Crying, he says that what he wants is peace, and then Lloyd asks why he got himself drunk by drinking so much at the festival. Yes, in reality, Lloyd thought Meldvan was drunk instead of having turned into a monster. That comment brings back a memory inside Meldvan, who is falling apart, and so he attacks Lloyd, who leans his body backward, dodging perfectly, and bringing his body back upright right after, headbutting Meldvan, cracking his skull and sending the monster flying backward, making him bounce across several places until falling at the door already defeated. At that moment, Lloyd says he needs to continue to find Mary, but Mary opens the door, throwing Meldvan away from there. She runs to Lloyd, and he apologizes for interfering, even though she said he could not do that, but she hugs him, thanking him for coming. Selin gets jealous of that, but at that moment the demon lord arrives in the room, and Lloyd asks if he is another drunk man. Mary then has a very good plan, and says yes, and that he was possessed by a monster, and that is why he was filthy and smelly. And because of that, Mary asks Lloyd to clean the king with that cloth containing a disenchantment rune, and Lloyd agrees to do that, going to the king to clean him. The enemy tries to stop him, creating a gray energy sphere, but with only a single piece of energy in the sphere, Lloyd manages to throw it upward. He asks the king not to feel embarrassed, and begins wiping his face, and then runs the cloth over his entire body, and with that the demon lord is expelled from the possession. Mary hugs Lloyd, thanking him for saving her father, which makes Lloyd blush, causing Selin to complain. On the next day, everyone starts helping with the damage the kingdom suffered. Lloyd looks at everyone, reflecting that it is good that everything worked out overall. At that moment, Shoma, his older brother, appears, and Lloyd goes to him, jumping and giving him a hug. His brother asks what Lloyd is doing here, and Lloyd replies that he came to become a soldier. Shoma says he only came to deliver some goods, but heard that he defeated Abaddon, so he congratulates him. But before they can talk more, Alka arrives, making Shoma disappear. Lloyd tells Alka that Shoma was there just a moment ago. Meanwhile, at the academy, Chromie and Corin walk together in a hallway while talking about Meltfin. Corin is worried about him, and Chromie teases her by asking if she was worried about her romantic interest, making her nervous, and because of that she hits a kick to his intimate parts, saying right after that she is his superior, so he needs to measure his words. Then she says that the royal family decided to take Meltfin to the outskirts to do forced labor, and while Corin says that last sentence, we see Meltfin running from a giant rabbit, until he is saved by Alka, who ends the rabbit with a 2-foot strike. Alka goes to him and tells him to stop the hunting, because now he will work in wheat fields. Now Alka and Meltfin are walking in the wheat field of the farm, and Alka comments that in the past, a Locust demon lord made an entire nation starve, and because of that she used the runes to create wheat and distribute it throughout the nation, but she got tired of doing that, and now she only left all the wheat growing there. Meltfin remembers that when he was a child, someone distributed wheat for free, and so he reaches the conclusion that it was her. Alka says she wants him to take care of the wheat for her, and he accepts very willingly. At the witch's house, Alka enters the Lord's room while he is changing clothes and is shirtless, and at that moment she uses her crystal to activate recording mode, but Mary pulls her out of the room and closes the door. Mary asks if Alka wanted the Lord to become a soldier just to see him wearing a uniform, and Alka says yes, because after all it would be very beautiful to see him like that. After that, they walk around the house, and Alka asks if she will return to the castle after all of this. Mary says that her father will soon be fine and will return to ruling, and since she got used to her current life, she will stay there. The Lord arrives in the room where they are speaking, already dressed in a uniform. And while Alka becomes fascinated with his appearance, Mary congratulates him for becoming a soldier, although she wonders who recommended him. After all, someone did that before Selin and the others. At that moment, Hyro and Selin knock on the door, and the Lord opens it, asking them to wait just a little longer. Selin compliments the Lord, until Alka arrives behind him asking who she was, and Selin replies by asking who Alka is, which starts a certain problem between the two girls fascinated by the Lord. Hyro asks Selin to stop. After all, Alka is as strong as the Lord, and at that moment Alka tries to attack Selin, but the belt protects her, and Alka realizes that this belt was made from the skin of the divine beast Vertra, a legendary artifact from the Kamlum village that protects the bearer from all evil. At that moment, Alan arrives calling the Lord and thanking him. After all, because of him, he managed to work hard to kill the monsters, and because of that he also managed to enter the academy. He will receive a reward for his actions, but in exchange for that he asked them to place the Lord in the academy. After all, a student must help his master, and even if the Lord denied this master and student relationship, Alan will continue trying. Everyone starts talking at the same time, making Mary nervous, who grabs Alka and throws her into the closet, calling her Granny Lully and telling her to go home. Then she asks everyone to go to the academy right away, and so they all leave happily together toward the academy. This brings us to the episode where the Lord is looking at the stars in that night sky while riding in a carriage with Mary and Chromie. Mary thanks him for coming, and he replies that he can very well do a simple job of picking up trash, so he will do everything calmly. But in reality, Mary lied by saying that it was only a trash collecting job, but the job was something much deeper. They arrive at a place with a sword stuck in a rock, and the owner of the place arrives asking what they are doing there, saying that the sword could not be removed. After all, only someone with enough magical power to dominate the entire world could do that. However, while he was talking, the Lord grabbed the sword and held it as if it was nothing. The man is left stunned, seeing that a simple boy ruined his entire business. The sword was what attracted people to his hotel, as well as other establishments. Therefore, they leave in the carriage while Chromie asks Mary what they will do with that sword. At the academy, all of the Lord's friends look tired from a training session, except for the Lord, who seems completely fine, yet not excited. Rio says she is discouraged because the next class would be theoretical magic, but Corin enters the room saying that it will actually be practical magic due to the inter-school match against another academy. Alan arrives saying that this is an annual event and that until now their nation has been on a long losing streak, but Corin says that this year they will definitely win. On the training field, Corin explains that there are three main types of magic. The one where you speak words, the one where you write drawings and text, and finally the one where you use magic stones and staffs. After that, she says it is time to practice, and after placing an anti-magic dummy, she asks everyone to begin. Using a spoken incantation, she makes the dummy burn to ashes. She fires a fireball at the dummy, and then Rio does the same, but her fireball comes out slightly stronger. Corin congratulates both of them, and when it is the Lord's turn, he makes a mistake in pronunciation, saying chewing instead of burn, but even so he fires a fireball much larger than the others, missing the dummy but hitting behind it on the side, burning part of the forest around them. The Lord apologizes, but Corin does not mind. They keep training, with the Lord constantly overdoing his magic at an excessively higher level, until, when he casts a wind spell, the dummy is shattered, and so Corin says that the Lord cannot participate in the inter-school event because he might accidentally kill someone. A bit later, after training, while Corin drinks something under the shade of a tree, Selin approaches her asking to learn healing magic. After all, Corin specializes in that kind of magic. Selin says she wants to learn it to help someone very important during combat, the Lord, and that way she will have more intimate physical contact. Rio says she needs to be careful using healing magic, because if she heals someone with an unclean wound, she might end up making things worse. But people start arriving saying they are also interested in learning healing magic, including Alan and the Lord. Then Corin suggests a special healing practice, because they need an injured test subject, and Selin suggests that Alan should be the test subject, since he is the most resistant. She kicks him down a staircase, making him fall through several steps until hitting the ground. He stays there while everyone surrounds him, and Corin tells him not to worry, because everyone there will heal him. At the witch's house, while Mary is having coffee, two blonde girls suddenly appear, startling her. The smaller blonde says they are clients, introduces herself as Mina Kinan, and says the other blonde girl is her sister, Afilo Kinan. Mary realizes they are the mercenary sisters, and Mina continues speaking, saying she is searching for a girl and shows a picture of her. At that moment, both of them feel something extremely dangerous approaching, and then the Lord opens the door, making the taller blonde, Afilo, attack him with a kick to the head, followed by another strike to the ribs. But even though her strike seems very strong, The Lord does not react at all and asks what happened. Then a fly passes between them, and he assumes she was trying to kill the insect, apologizing for standing in the way. The Lord sees the picture of the girl and says it is Hyro, his classmate at the academy. Aphilo then goes to him and bows, asking to become his apprentice, promising to do anything he wants, cleaning, cooking, protecting him. She will do anything. The Lord says he cannot accept, because that house belongs to Mary. So the blonde goes to ask Mary for permission to live there, and Mary, pressured, ends up allowing it. Aphilo says she will scrub his back now while taking off her shirt, but Mary throws both sisters out of the house while throwing salt at them. The Lord expresses pain and says that maybe Aphilo broke one of his ribs, but he says it is fine, because in about 3 hours his bone will have regenerated. The Lord leaves saying he needs to make dinner, and Mary reflects to herself that she still needs to get used to the Lord's powers, because now she lives with him, and she gets excited thinking about that. At that moment Alka appears suddenly, saying she heard about Mary's trip to the Sacred Sword Village together with the Lord. Mary says she went there to carry out a certain task, but Alka asks if she took advantage of the Lord's smile, and Mary admits that she did, which enrages Alka, who quickly transforms Mary into a butterfly. The Lord arrives asking where Mary is, but Alka avoids the question by asking what he will make for dinner today. Later, the butterfly flies to a room in her house, where she finally manages to recreate her original body. However, she is now completely naked, and while she complains about what Alka did to her, the Lord suddenly appears, seeing Mary naked and leaving without any reaction. Mary, depressed, simply gets dressed and sleeps on the floor right there. On the next day, the interschool match would finally begin. Hyro goes to Corin, asking why she wants to win so badly, and Corin says it is because the stubborn woman she hates so much has just become the headmistress of Hokyuju, which is the name of the rival academy. At that moment, the supposed woman Corin mentioned arrives asking if they were talking about her, and Hyro recognizes her as Rue. Corin asks what she was doing there so early, but Rue ignores Corin and goes directly to Hyro, saying she searched for her everywhere. Rue approaches Hyro, telling her to return immediately, unless she wants to lose more things that are dear to her. Hyro becomes furious and pushes Rue away, who leaves saying she will wait for her answer. Philo, who was behind them with her mother, goes to Lloyd asking if he had thought about her request. As she approaches closely, Selin, jealous, separates the two. But before anything happens, Philo's sister calls her, making her leave. Selin asks who she was, and Lloyd says she wants to live with him or something like that. Meanwhile, Hyro looked extremely worried and sad, and throughout the rest of the day she remains sad, and Lloyd becomes worried about her, and Selin notices this concern. Because of that, Hyro has been distracting Lloyd, and for this reason Selin is not receiving his attention anymore. At the witch's house, Lloyd is troubled, and Mary thinks he is like that because he saw her naked yesterday. But Lloyd breaks the mood to ask how he can cheer someone up. Mary thinks he means he wants to cheer her up, and she starts getting excited about that. And she answers eagerly saying that he should invite this girl out, maybe for some tea, that this girl would love that. Lloyd says that is a good idea, and says he will invite Hyro, which completely destroys Mary's illusion. At the academy, Selin thinks about how to cheer Hyro up, because by being sad she attracts too much of Lloyd's attention, and because of that Selin tries to give her a picture of Lloyd, but that does not help. Alan, all bruised, arrives inserting himself into the situation, but Hyro simply kicks him down the stairs. At that moment Lloyd arrives to Hyro, inviting her on a date, which surprises both girls, especially Selin. On the date with Hyro, Lloyd asks her what happened to make her this way. While he asks, Selin watches them hidden, covered by a brown cloth. Selin crawls away on all fours, and Alan, who is passing by on crutches, looks at that and asks if it was a cockroach, realizing it was actually Selin. Selin becomes furious with Alan and hits him, throwing him into the bushes, and back to Hyro and Lloyd. Hyro says she grew up in an orphanage, and it was there she met Ho, who took care of her in many ways. However, because she lacked an arm, she could not do much to help at the orphanage, and for that reason Ho brought this arm to her. Hyro became very happy to know she could now help earn money for the orphanage, but she ran away. After all, she discovered Carol gave her this arm so she could increase her magical capabilities, and so she could draw the sacred sword, which is the sword Lloyd picked up at the beginning of the episode. She explains that her arm cannot be touched because it constantly drains magic, and for that reason she is always running away, because the person she saw as an older sister betrayed her and only wanted to use her, and for that reason she pursues her, assigning false crimes to her. Lloyd holds her mithril arm and tells her to trust him, that he will do his best and will not betray her. At that moment Selin emerges from the ground calling Lloyd a traitor, and tells Hyro she understands what it feels like to be accused without doing anything, and says that together they should take revenge. Hyro becomes pleased and, touching each of their fists, she says she does not oppose her idea. After that, in a kind of arena, Corin's team stands before Rose's team. Mina, the younger sister, asks Corin if she saw who will fight today, and Korin says it will be Hiro and Lloyd. However, Makona, along with other people, arrives falling from the sky and hitting the ground, saying she is Makona, the leader of the second-year class, and that she will fight in Lloyd's place, who is a weakling who cannot do anything without someone. Makona says she will face Philo. Korin announces the beginning of the training match, and at the same moment Makona is covered by a green aura, while a rune appears beneath her, boosting her abilities. Philo raises her right hand to the side, while an energy flows there as well. Makona jumps toward Philo with a fireball, but Philo simply says water and unleashes a massive wave of water at her opponent, throwing her out of the arena and making her hit the wall, immediately winning that match. Later, Makona goes to the witch's house and asks Mary to help her. Mary helps, and while she comments that it has been a long time since Makona last appeared, she also makes coffee for Makona and serves it to her while Makona stays silent, focusing entirely on enjoying that moment with Mary. We then discover that she feels some affection for the witch. However, at that moment Lloyd arrives, and Makona sees the closeness between the two, feels jealousy, and runs away under the rain. On the next day, the official event would begin, with Azami's team on one side and Hokuju's team on the other. Hyrule goes to Hyrule saying she has become a greedy serpent, and Hyrule says she will regret that and threatens the orphanage. But Hyrule says she will protect the orphanage. At that moment, Chromie announces the prize for the winner of the tournament, being the legendary sacred sword, which leaves both women, Hyrule and Hyrule, completely shocked. After all, the conflict between the two began because of that sword. Before the interschool match begins, Hyrule is nearly hitting Chromie for placing the sword as the prize. Korin asks why she is so worried about the sword, and Selen explains everything to her. At that moment, Roll says she will now become a student to fight, and says she is even willing to kill for the sword. Because of that, Korin says she will allow Lloyd to participate, since if they do not follow the rules, Azami Academy will also not follow them. In the end, Hyrule asks Korin to teach her healing magic. At the witch's house, Alka argues with Mary, who was pretending to go out to shop, even though she was actually planning to go watch Lloyd's fight at the inter-school event. Mary then asks her how she always knows everything. But at that exact moment, the crystal notifies that Alka's village needs her. Alka says she will have to leave, but curses Mary so that she feels stomach pain every 10 minutes. She says she will only undo this curse if Mary crawls in front of the crystal ball and apologizes without stopping. After saying that, Alka enters the wardrobe, disappearing completely. Mary runs to the bathroom, complaining that Alka is using ancient punishments again for trivial things. The three selected participants stand in front of each other in the arena. On Azami's side, there are Selen, Lloyd, and Hyrule, and on Rokuju Academy's side, there are the two mercenary sisters and Roll. The judge explains that the first team to obtain 2 victories wins the event. However, they can only use magic. No physical attack such as punches or kicks is allowed. The first battle begins between Selen and Hyrule. Hyrule, without wasting time, conjures a lightning spell and shoots it towards Selen. But the Princess of the Belt, which was the name Selen was called in the past, is confident that her belt will protect her. However, the belt does not react at all, forcing Selen to jump away from that spell. Selen begins arguing with the belt, asking why it is not reacting, but the belt remains silent. Selen then asks if it is not reacting because the enemy represents no real threat to her life, not that the enemy is weak, but that this specific opponent does not intend to kill her. And while Selen argues with her belt, Hyrule fires multiple spells, forcing Selen to dodge all of them, until Hyrule uses a greater spell, summoning a cloud that shoots a gigantic lightning bolt towards Selen. At that moment, Selen would not be able to jump, so she simply curls up. It is exactly then that the belt finally reacts, protecting her from that lightning. Selen is now convinced she has mastered the belt, and she defends herself from any magical attack from Philo. And immediately after she manipulates the belt so it grabs her opponent and brings her closer. But at that moment, the judge shouts that Selen has been disqualified. After all, the belt counts as a physical attack, meaning this is their first defeat. The next match would be between Lloyd and Mina, the younger sister. Mina prepares a spell that traps Lloyd's head inside a water bubble. Her plan is to make him lose due to lack of air. But 5, 10, 20 minutes pass and Lloyd does not fall. Mina says he is cheating, but the judge checks Lloyd, who is completely fine. Mina becomes irritated and cancels the spell, casting a worse and larger magic, where she creates a huge whirlpool of water around Lloyd, trapping him underwater again. And while that happens, she begins reciting another spell, which although long, would hold him thanks to the magic she cast before. However, Lloyd clearly sees what she is doing and decides he will not allow it. He conjures a wind spell that creates a tornado against Mina, throwing her against a wall and knocking her out. As soon as that happens, everyone starts to think that Lloyd won because he overheated Mina, using that as a simple excuse for Lloyd's overwhelming power. And in this way, now the two academies are tied, and the final match was between Hill and Roll, and both of them begin by firing several fireballs at each other without stopping. They stay in this clash until they cease their flames at the same time, and Roll says that the next strike will be her last. She charges toward Hill at high speed. Quickly, she manages to remove Hill's mid-wheel arm, forcing her to kneel. Hill asks what she did, and Roll says that since she put it on, she can also take it off, and that now, without the arm, she cannot do anything. However, Hill smiles and says she was only waiting for her to get close and lower her guard. And then, she attacks with a punch that generates fire magic, exploding point blank in Roll's face. The blow is powerful and makes her enemy roll across the ground. Then, Hill reveals that she planted a magic stone inside the arm and used healing magic to keep it in place. And like that, she would use it as a surprise attack. Hill says she also used delayed healing magic, which, in short, makes the healing activate moments after the spell is cast, restoring her arm that had been injured in the explosion. Finally, Hill approaches while chanting a high-class magic incantation, making her enemy so nervous that she faints right there. And Hill laughs at her, revealing she cannot use high-class magic, and that her final spell was nothing but a bluff. And so, the Asame Academy takes the victory. After her defeat, Roll remembers when she was a child, how everything began, and how she climbed step by step until reaching where she is now. She wakes up startled and finds her students in the room. Mina was also there and was still unconscious because of the fight against Lloyd. She asks where the sword is, and one of them answers that it is with a witch from the eastern side. A witch who lives with a sort of younger brother, someone she is extremely protective of. Roll orders Philo to go after this supposedly important person to the witch, so they can negotiate an exchange for the sword. And upon arriving at the witch's house, Philo sees Mary worshipping a crystal, and Mary was only doing that so the Alka would cancel the curse. In that exact moment, Mary runs off with a tremendous stomachache, and Philo, after witnessing that scene, begins to believe that the crystal is extremely important to Mary, and for that reason she takes the object with her, leaving a certain meeting letter for Mary to read. A bit later, Lloyd arrives at the house carrying the sword they won in the event, but only finds the star he gave her as a gift, and since she never takes it off, he becomes even more worried. Lloyd notices a letter on the table, and upon reading it, he thinks they took Mary and intend to exchange her for the legendary sword. In this way, Lloyd goes to the meeting place, but while he is leaving, Alan appears at the door saying he also has problems with hemorrhoids. It turns out that Mary probably called him to help her with her stomach pain. Meanwhile, at the tower where Roll is, Philo asks if that was what she wanted, and Roll sighs saying that obviously it was not, but she could not rely on Philo for that matter. In that moment, the two hear someone shouting outside, and when they look out the window, they notice Lloyd and Alan running through the streets. Philo gets excited and jumps toward them, challenging Lloyd to a duel to the death. Lloyd does not seem to want to fight her, but he realizes he needs to do it to find Mary. He accepts the challenge, and then suggests an arm wrestling match, since that is a common custom in his village, and so Lloyd throws the legendary sword to Alan, entrusting it to him since Philo's issue was with Lloyd. Philo and Lloyd kneel before a box and lock their hands, beginning the arm wrestling match, which creates an absurd gust of wind in the area, even cracking the ground. Alan runs away, until he is attacked by one of Roll's students who launches several fireballs at him. However, Mina appears, trapping the student inside that water magic that creates a bubble around the target's head, completely defeating him. Mina says she is betraying her because she treated her sister like a mere tool. Meanwhile, Lloyd continues the arm wrestling, breaking the box beneath them, and then beginning to lose to her. And to avoid losing, he jumps into the air and continues the strength duel right there. And even then he would still lose to Philo. But Lloyd uses Arrow, a wind spell that throws them against the ground, dragging them around and leaving a large trail of destruction. When they recover, Lloyd notices he has won the arm wrestling against Philo. They stand up while Lloyd is pleased for having won, but Philo holds his hands, asking him to marry her, and saying that because he is from Kunlum, he is worthy of placing a child in her belly. At that moment, Alan and Mina arrive in the area, and Philo goes to her sister, saying that she already knew whom she would marry. At the tower, Rose declares that everyone is extremely useless, and then Alka emerges from the crystal, calling for Lloyd several times. Roll says she does not know where he is, and beyond that, she calls Alka a brat, making Alka believe she was trying to keep her from seeing Lloyd. Alka becomes furious and casts a spell that destroys a large part of the tower, blasting Roll into the sea, and Alan goes after her to save her. And on the next day, the news spreads that Alan is a great hero, because he saved the headmistress of a rival academy. Roll is once again in the infirmary bed, where a man performs a spell on her, telling her she may rest. In her mind, she remembers when she was a child, when she found Hyro peeling apples, even though she was very bad at it. At the time, Hiro asked Roll to teach her healing magic, but she told Hiro that such magic was too difficult at first, and that she should start with the basics. She also told Hiro that when she became an academy headmistress, she would give her a scholarship at the school. At that time, that was her dream. Then Roll wakes up, thinking that was where she began, and she sees Hiro at her side peeling apples so she can eat. But the moment she notices she is awake, Hiro immediately leaves, and so Roll thinks to herself that Hiro has improved a lot at peeling apple. Thus we arrive at episode 7, where the mercenary sisters are in the forest carrying out some mission for the kingdom. They find an unconscious man, and Philo asks if this was caused by those moving trees, since the person has no visible wounds. While Philo lifts the body from the ground, Mina says that because this is a serious mission, they should eat something serious, and so she asks Philo what she wants to eat, and Philo answers that she wants to eat a serious creature. At the academy, Hiro invites Lloyd to a horse marathon, since vacation begins on the next day. But before she finishes her invitation, Celine arrives looking desolate and emanating a bad aura. The blonde says her parents summoned her, and perhaps because of that she will be trapped with them. She even thinks of a plan to get rid of her parents, saying she could burn their house down, and then she would be free from having many romantic things with Lloyd. Lloyd says he is honored by her invitations, but he has plans. However, she only hears the part about being honored, and then begins imagining everything he wants to do with her, like marriage and other things. At that moment, Alan arrives. He mentions having made plans with Lloyd as his apprentice, but since he was proposed to, he will not be able to carry out what he planned. He continues speaking about all the good things that happened to him, but the girls grab Lloyd and leave, saying that Alan only wants attention. Upon arriving at the witch's house, Lloyd finds Mar and Alka arguing with each other about who will spend the vacation with Lloyd, but Lloyd says he will work at a hotel during the vacation because of Chromie's recommendation. And although they want to go, Lloyd says he wants to do this alone, because he wants to prove that he is capable of surviving without anyone's help. Meanwhile, the hotel owner was waiting for Lloyd, and at that moment he feels a dreadful presence approaching, until Lloyd appears behind him greeting him, saying he is the person Chromie recommended. They go to the hotel, and Koba introduces himself, saying he is the owner of the hotel, but also used to be an important soldier in the army. After showing most of the hotel, Koba says in the hallway that strange things are happening there, such as people suddenly falling into comas. Lloyd says that since he also serves in the army, he could rely on his help to solve this problem. They eventually arrive at a room where they find Kikyu, and at the same moment, the owner calls out to the woman who was secretly resting. The owner introduces her to Lloyd, saying she is a senior employee. He leaves the woman as Lloyd's tutor, and as soon as he leaves, Kikyu takes advantage of him, ordering him to clean the entire place. However, Lloyd does everything quickly, finishing before she even ends her sentence about cleaning. She is extremely impressed, and Lloyd notices he forgot to clean the ceiling. He does that quickly and leaves the entire room sparkling. The owner returns to the hall and observes how clean it is. Kikyu asks the hotel owner what Lloyd's secret is, but he says that is confidential, and walking alongside Lloyd, the hotel owner says that now they must receive a certain noble, someone rather complicated, since he arrived earlier than the scheduled time for his stay. They go to his room, finding him there, and it is already clear how irritating he is. But when the noble asks Lloyd what he thinks about the trees around that place, Lloyd surprises him by saying that although he finds them beautiful, he believes their potential is being wasted. After all, they were planted too neatly and pruned perfectly, so being able to do nothing but look at them seemed like a complete waste. The noble is surprised by how much he knows about this, and this ends up making them get along very well. After all, a large part of the noble's family comes from a lineage of arborists. At night, in the noble's room, Kikyu enters through the window. They begin to talk about their plan. After all, the noble is there to investigate an illegal planting of trees and the involvement of tree monsters. He must investigate this quickly. After all, if the owner's forest obtains a national treasure status, they will not be able to do anything anymore. Kikyu asks why he arrived earlier, and he says he has news. A noble wants to arrange a marriage with his son, and although it saddens him to use his son for that, the marriage will be important. After all, this noble seems to have recently purchased trees, and he ended up making a fortune with them. In other words, this matter must involve the tree monsters, and his plan is to use the marriage with Whiskey to investigate more deeply. He says that the other news is that someone stole from a laboratory a climbing plant called the Demon Lord Seed. No one knows who did it, but there are rumors that they brought it to this hotel, and at the same time the seed disappeared. People in the hotel began to fall into comas. He explains that the seed is parasitic and uses humans or animals to spread its roots, thus increasing the host's physical strength. All of this so the seed can make long journeys. Kikyu suspects Lloyd, so he asks her to give Lloyd a plant-based medicine, because this medicine has the power to expel a tree monster from someone's body. That same night, Lloyd was in the kitchen chopping several ingredients at the same time and very fast, which leaves Kikiu, who was spying on him, even more surprised. She enters the room offering him tea, but when he is about to drink it, the owner arrives, telling Lloyd to rest and go get his own tea. He ends up drinking the tea instead of Lloyd, and he quickly spits it out, asking what Kikiu made him drink, but she only jumps out the window, saying he had figured everything out. After she jumps, the hotel owner thinks that the strange events began happening only after she was hired. The owner does not know what she is plotting and decides to investigate this thoroughly. On the next day, Ryo is at the hotel where Lloyd is working. Obviously, without knowing that, she asks by phone for a certain special massage, and so Lloyd goes to her to perform it. She then discovers that Lloyd's plan was to work there, and while they talk, Lloyd prepares the bed for the massage. Lloyd explains that something strange is happening in the hotel, and that is why he is investigating. After finishing the conversation, Lloyd asks if he may begin the massage, but Ryo says no. After all, she was embarrassed imagining Lloyd touching her. Lloyd becomes sad, thinking he is not good enough, but before Ryo can explain properly, they hear some screams. Meanwhile, in a carriage, Saren, together with her father, is coming to this same hotel. Saren asks what he wants by bringing her there, and he says he only wants to find a place to talk better with his daughter, since they have not talked for a long time. When they arrive and enter the hotel, her father immediately reveals that he will make her marry the son of a noble, Alan. Clearly, Saren becomes bothered by this and refuses, but her father does not listen. In the dining hall, they find another noble, named Terranini, who says his son will arrive soon. Meanwhile, Saren reflects about not wanting this. After all, she loves Lloyd, and so she begins planning Alan's assassination. At that moment, someone opens the door to the hall. Saren quickly jumps onto the chandelier and moves toward that person with the fork to kill. But when she sees it is Lloyd, she only hugs him and immediately leaves. Terranini says to let the lovebirds be together, and continues saying they have much to discuss. Saren takes Lloyd to the pantry, where she says that the fact he appeared was God hearing her prayers. But before she could do anything improper, Hiro arrives assuring that the hotel is not for that kind of thing. Saren asks what is happening, and Hiro explains that earlier they found Alan unconscious in his bath, and so they switched roles to continue Terranini's plan, making Lloyd the noble's son and Hiro the new employee. She didn't hear anything, because she was completely focused on Lloyd in his uniform, and then, since Lloyd wanted to investigate what happened to Alan, Saren said she had a plan, and using the excuse that she and Lloyd were in an arranged marriage, she suggested that they investigate the hotel together, while Hiro investigated internally as the employee. Lloyd liked the plan, and everything was settled. Saren was with Lloyd in an area close to the hotel, and she was excited to pretend to be a couple, because Lloyd was pretending to be the son of the noble Terranini. Saren commented on how beautiful that lake was, and since Lloyd had to act like he was in love with her, he said the lake was only less beautiful than she was, making her daydream about their wedding, until suddenly she was knocked out by Haru, who appeared out of nowhere and called her suspicious. Behind the hotel, Haru asked Saren if she remembered the objective, and even though Saren only wanted to spend time with Lloyd, she said it was to investigate. At that moment Shoma, Lloyd's older brother, arrived carrying several things. Lloyd went to him surprised, introducing him as his older brother to his friends. Haru felt something strange coming from him, but quickly understood that he was extremely powerful, since he came from the same village as Lloyd. Shoma explained that he was there to deliver multiple incendiary bombs that had been requested, and after dropping everything off, he left. Saren immediately pulled Lloyd away, leaving everything with Haru. She said she was going to investigate, but in reality she only intended to use the chance to spend romantic moments with Lloyd. Now in a canoe with Lloyd, Saren said she never imagined she would be on a date like that because of her belt that used to stay across her face. She commented that her father tried to help in every possible way, but nothing worked, and she was extremely annoyed that now that her belt was finally gone, what her father wanted most was for her to marry Malo. She said her life would be much better if she stayed only with Lloyd, and that Alan was not even worthy of marrying her. But Lloyd said it was not like that. After all, if it weren't for everyone around him, he would not even be a soldier. But Saren replied with a smile, saying Lloyd helped others without realizing it, and that was why everyone around him wanted to help him. He felt happy hearing that, and asked her to keep what he just said a secret. After all, the fact that he was useless was a bit embarrassing. She got excited about having a secret and moved the boat, almost flipping it over. But Lloyd grabbed her in his arms and went to the riverbank in less than a second, preventing them from getting wet. While the two were together, Kikyo was watching from a distance through binoculars, just waiting for a chance to get close to Lloyd to apply that cream that would remove the Demon Lord seed from inside him. Saren moved away from Lloyd, and then Kikyo approached him stealthily to apply the cream. However, Lloyd sensed sensed her presence and asked what she wanted. Kikyo invented that she wanted to give him a full body massage since he had been working so hard, and Lloyd loved the idea, saying he would use the opportunity to learn more massage techniques. So Kikyo applied the cream to Lloyd's body, wondering where the seed could be hiding. She thought it might be in Lloyd's groin, and she would even put her hand there to apply the cream. But at that moment Saren arrived, using her belt to stop Kikyo from doing anything further. They started a quick fight, where Kikyo immediately moved behind Saren and performed a suplex on her. Saren wasn't hurt because of her belt, and Kikyo escaped right after. Saren asked who she was, but Lloyd said she was only his senior who worked there, and that she had been teaching him how to give a massage. Saren, seeing Lloyd shirtless and covered in cream, suggested a hot spring bath with him, using the excuse of not staining his clothes, and he accepted. Lloyd waited in the hot spring until he saw Saren arguing with Haru about why she was there to bathe as well. Both of them were wrapped in towels. Then several people began to show up, like Alka and Mary, who said they needed to rest their bodies, and that was why they went there. The sisters Mina and Philo also appeared, saying they were there to carry out a certain mission. All of them wearing towels except for Alka and Philo, who were completely naked. Philo said she went into their house to become Lloyd's apprentice and marry him, driving Saren and Haru crazy. Haru and Mina talked about the sisters' mission. Mina commented that it was extremely important, since it involved the theft of a seed and the illegal planting of trees. And Alka explained that the planting was actually the appearance of trees, those giant living trees. Soon most of the trees around the hotel were those living trees. Lloyd stood up from the water saying he needed to do something immediately, but because of that he accidentally exposed his private parts to Alka, who fainted after seeing something so overwhelmingly large. Philo grabbed Alka by the hair and threw her far away, trying to hit someone who had been watching them. Far from there, Quickwill, who was clinging to the trunks of a tree, fell to the ground, shocked because someone had been thrown at her. At that moment, the secretary of Trianini arrived, revealing himself to be the treant she was searching for. While speaking, he changed his shape into a grotesque and monstrous tree. With his roots, he grabbed her legs, draining her energy and leaving her vulnerable. But at that moment Lloyd arrived, misunderstanding the entire situation as always. He thought that tree was something prepared by the secretary for the noble's marriage ceremony. The treant created several smaller trees that attacked both of them and quickly left, increasing its size and saying it needed nutrients. Lloyd said he would take care of the weeds because he did not see those creatures as monsters. After dealing with all of them, Quickwell remembered that the treant said he needed nutrients and that he was heading toward the hotel. At the hotel, Noble Trianini and Saren's father were talking about business. That was when the giant treant opened a hole in the wall. He said Trianini was tired of the noble's arrogance and admitted that he stole a special seed and started an illegal tree plantation. Furthermore, he began putting several people into comas to ruin the noble's reputation. With the intention of destroying everything he owned, the monstrous tree attacked with its roots. But the girls who had been in the hot spring arrived and stopped the roots from touching the men. Mina tried to push the creature back with fire, but when everyone realized it was useless, Philo decided to push the tree back with a kick, forcing it away. Haru said that since magical power was useless, she had a certain plan, so she asked Saren to hold the monster while she ran off. Saren did exactly that, jumping toward the creature and cutting the roots reaching in her direction. But the creature was far too strong for her to advance that much, so she retreated. When part of the hotel collapsed toward Saren, her father ran and pushed her out of the way, being crushed in her place. Meanwhile, Haru attacked together with Alan, who had woken up in the middle of the chaos. Both used incendiary bombs, holding the treant back so Mina could create a water dragon as large as the monstrous tree, and the dragon wrapped around the creature, while Haru caused diamond dust to merge with the water, creating a crystallizing effect and trapping the treant inside the diamond. The creature did not stop, and even restrained, it attacked them with thorns erupting from the ground. Saren, meanwhile, was trying to pull her father from the debris, but she could not because he was too heavy. Her father told her to leave him there, but Saren said she had fallen in love with someone who always helped others even when he believed he could not, and because of that she wanted to be that kind of person herself. At that moment, another fragment of debris was about to fall on them, but Lloyd arrived and held it effortlessly, saving Saren and her father. Lloyd went to Mary, who explained they were fighting a monster and needed his help. Lloyd, determined to help, moved toward it. He approached the creature and delivered a punch that shattered even the diamond. He grabbed a red sphere, which he assumed was the core of the entire problem. He crushed it, and the monster died. Lloyd was extremely happy for doing that, because for him, this was the first monster he had ever defeated. From afar, Shoma watched and congratulated Lloyd. On the ground near him was Alka, trapped in some kind of spell. Alka wondered whether he was involved in all of that, and Shoma confirmed it. Before leaving, he said that the day had been intense, which was one of his catchphrases in this anime, and then he walked away. The next day, early in the morning, Alka took care of repairing the hotel. healing the injured, and altering the minds of some people to make them forget everything. After all, something related to a demon lord had occurred. Saren's father apologized for not paying attention to his daughter's feelings and asked Lloyd to take care of her. Saren immediately hugged the boy, saying they should get married right away, because they already had her father's approval. Meanwhile, Alka said she was extremely tired after using so much energy, and because of that she deserved a massage. Lloyd said he learned how to give a massage the day before, so he could help. She accepted, and Lloyd followed her, grabbing her by the waist and performing a suplex on her. After all, when Kikyu was teaching him how to give a massage, she ended up using that move on Saren, and because of that, Lloyd believes that performing a suplex is the same as giving an excellent massage. Now, in a kind of church, Makona is taken by Shoma to a man who appears to be a priest. The mysterious man explains the reason for bringing her, which is to make Makona take revenge on the man who stole the person she loves the most. In this way, the mysterious man orders Shoma to give her 2 medicines that will grant her power, and without even thinking twice, she drinks both, transforming into a half-monster right there, with additional wings growing from her back. She immediately feels her power increasing and swears she will take her revenge. At her house, Mary tells Lloyd she is hungry and asks him to feed her. But at that moment, Haru, Philo, and Saren arrive, interrupting the moment, and inform that Lloyd has been summoned to help in a dungeon. Their mission is to find and defeat a giant serpent that resides there. Meanwhile, on top of the house, Alka looks toward the horizon. At the castle, all the Academy's rookies are in the throne room waiting for the king, while Saren imagines countless scenarios with Lloyd inside the dungeon. She starts an argument with Philo to decide who will explore with him, until the general orders them to be quiet, since the king has just entered. Everyone becomes tense with his presence, but the king enters the room acting like an actual clown, which surprises everyone. When asked why he is doing that, the king says it is because he read in a book that when everyone is tense, it is very good to make a joke. After that, he leaves the room, allowing the general to explain the plan. She says that the army, including herself, will provide security outside, while they, the rookies, will have to explore the dungeon and find the serpent. Meanwhile, the king talks to that man from before, in a random cafe. The man says he found something inside a nearby dungeon. He continues, saying that perhaps that someone or something was being hunted, and because of that he will get rid of it before someone reaches it. It was a complicated conversation that I did not understand at all, but later, in that same place, Alka appears. Noticing the coins the mysterious man left on the table, she was following the traces of the 2 of them, and after seeing the coins, she says she does not know what is happening, but she will find someone named Soul. Outside the dungeon, everyone is preparing to enter it. The girls notice Alan is standing a bit far away. He then says he will stay defending the entrance, and the girls laugh, saying he is simply afraid to go inside. Mary was returning home with groceries when Alka approached her and asked if there was any dungeon nearby. Mary confirmed, and Alka told her to show where it was, because she believed some acquaintances of hers were inside that dungeon. And after asking for Mary's help, the 2 of them flew away at high speed. Inside the dungeon, the 4 are walking while searching for the serpent, until Philo stops the girls, not even realizing that Lloyd had moved ahead. Philo asks Haru if she is in love with Lloyd, and Saren also takes the chance to demand answers, because lately Haru has had many moments alone with Lloyd. Haru feels extremely pressured, but before she can respond, they hear a sound and believe it is the serpent. Somewhere else in the dungeon, we see Mary emerging from some rubble, wondering if they really fell from that height. Alka steps out of the smoke, saying Mary can leave now, and then she starts making holes through the wall, saying she needs to find someone, leaving Mary completely alone. Mary tries to leave the dungeon, until she finds several routes that lead her to Makona. Mary asks if she is possessed by a treant, and at that moment Makona becomes happy to see Mary. Mary asks what is happening, and Makona says she wants to take revenge on Lloyd for stealing the love of her life. Mary asks who the love of her life is, but Makona prefers not to answer, because the love of her life is Mary herself. After saying that, she holds her roots in a suspicious way, saying she will use that as bait to bring Lloyd there. At that moment, Lloyd arrives and sees the uncomfortable situation Mary is in. He orders Makona to release her, and Makona immediately breaks free from the roots and grows wings, beginning to fly. She tells Lloyd to fight her, or else she will do inappropriate things to Mary. Lloyd accepts her challenge, and a battle begins with Makona flying toward him to punch him, and Lloyd hits her fist with his own, creating a tremendous force that sends Makona backward. Makona, from a distance, makes several roots attack Lloyd, but he handles the roots easily, and even throws one at Makona, but he misses, and Makona uses a speed spell and rushes at Lloyd, kicking him, pinning the boy against the wall, and following him by grabbing his head and dragging him across the place. But Lloyd remembers and throws her far away. She asks how he is enduring so much pressure from her power, and he says that training like that is completely normal in his village. She becomes furious, saying he lied, and attacks him again with her roots. At that moment, the girls arrive running into the room, and Mekona takes the opportunity to attack all of them, making Lloyd jump in front of the attack and be pierced to protect them. Mekona says that because of his friends, he was injured, but Lloyd says that without them, he is nothing, and that is why he wants to defeat Mekona and overcome anything, so he can be strong enough to protect everyone. Mekona becomes furious and attacks him again with punches, making him strike back, and when their fists collide, the entire room begins to shake. The girls plan to escape while Selen rescues Mary, but the floor under them collapses, taking everyone to a room on the other side. Meanwhile, Lloyd and Mekona keep fighting. The girls fall to the ground and Mekona attacks with a massive bundle of roots from her arm, but Lloyd holds it and starts spinning so much that he creates a tornado, and then he throws her upward, making her break through several layers and fly toward the sky. After that, he falls to his knees, and the girls go to him, saying he succeeded. However, the giant snake appears, and she says she has wanted to meet Lloyd since he was little. As the snake introduces herself as Vitra, the guardian beast of Kunlun, she says she was there because of Alka, and she cut a piece of her tail while showing how angry she was, moving back and forth. At that moment, the mysterious man enters the room and asks Lloyd what he looks like. Lloyd, seeing the evil aura around him, says he looks like an evil man, and so the man smiles, saying he finally found someone who could see that. At that moment, Alka rises from the ground, saying she has found Sol, who in this case is the man. Alka notices Vitra and speaks to her, making the snake furious and distracted. And then Sol appears on top of the creature and thrusts his hand into a crystal inside her, saying that if he kills Vitra, the source of Alka's power will end, and that way Kunlun can be easily destroyed, which would turn the world upside down. He grabs the crystal and destroys it, killing the snake, but Alka comes very fast and kicks him, throwing him against the wall. He asks how she still has powers, and Alka says she cut a part of Vitra and made a belt, selling it cheaply around. At that moment, Selen's belt starts talking, saying it is the snake reincarnated there, since the belt is part of her. The belt begins yelling at Alka, and Sol escapes through a portal, saying he will find a way to expose Kunlun, which is the last dungeon. And right after he leaves, the place begins collapsing because of Alka's destruction, and Alka escapes in her crystal, while telling the others to enter as well. At the entrance in the hallway, Alan and the other soldiers are running after Lloyd, while Alan remembers what Lloyd said to him about facing his fears. At that moment, he found the shadow of a dragon on the wall, and raised his axe, calling the snake for a duel. At that moment, the place began collapsing, and the soldiers think Alan's willpower made the entire place fall apart, becoming impressed. After all that, the king congratulates Alan for scaring the snake away, and names him a dragon slayer, even though Alan keeps saying he did nothing. Meanwhile, at Mary's house, everyone is gathered until Alka comes out of the wardrobe and puts a bag over Selen, saying she will take her to Kunlun. And so we reach episode 10, and we see that an exhibition match will happen between the kingdoms of Azami and Dio, as a way to present their current allied situation. The king then says he will send his strongest warrior, Ellen. After all, because of the recent event with the giant snake, Alan is now being praised by everyone, now being the great dragon slayer. Meanwhile, Alka is gathering the kingdoms to go to Kunlun, and they are traveling on foot because they need to find a ferry at the entrance. Meanwhile, Hyro is very excited, since she imagines Kunlun is a place full of treasures. Selen is equally happy, because she will meet Lloyd's relatives, and she will convince them that she should marry him. And finally, Philo is also excited, since she expects to meet many strong people in the village of Kunlun. However, Mary yells at them, saying they are going there to fix Vitra, not the guardian of Kunlun, who reincarnated in Selen's belt. In a cave, everyone meets Elg, the fairy who asks everyone to call her teacher, and everyone becomes impressed by her appearance. After all, she looks like a child, and they do not seem to believe much that she is hundreds of years old. Elg argues with Vitra for the snake having left her guardian post, and Vitra says that it was Alka's fault. Elg stops wasting time and makes everyone enter the portal, finally taking them to Kunlun. Everyone becomes very impressed with that place, and they even comment that the air is pure and the area is very peaceful. Hyro says it is very different from what she imagined. After all, she thought there would be houses made of gold or something like that, but she still believes they should not lower their guard yet. They arrive at a village, and immediately Hyro and Philo feel an enormous pressure. After all, everyone there is extremely strong. They see Vitra jumping and running at an abnormal speed, as well as an old lady firing a letter toward a mountain, but missing the target and saying it is because she is getting old. Lloyd says that they send letters like that, and an old man asks the same old lady to put magic into a cannon so he can be launched, and she really does that, shooting the old man toward the same mountain, but missing the target again, and saying the same thing about being old. Everyone is impressed, and they say that indeed nothing there is normal. At that moment, an old man carrying a giant fish is there, and Philo goes to him assuming a fighting stance, saying that he must be Pirid, the ogre lord, and that she wants his instruction. After all, that is the Pirid style. The old man says it has been a while since he saw that posture outside morning exercises, and so Philo discovers that her fighting style is a physical health exercise for the elderly of Kunlun, leaving her devastated. The old man Ray says he will instruct her, but right now he is carrying that fish. And so Hyro, with great greed, says she will carry the fish for him, but as soon as she picks it up she cannot endure the weight. Then they go to his house, and Hyro ends up lying on the floor, destroyed after carrying that fish. The general who went along with Chromie asks Alka where he is, and Alka remembers that they came to see that person, and then says where he is, calling her cute general. She and Chromie run to the fields, where they find Murdafin, wearing only a loincloth, taking care of the wheat. They go talk under the shade, and the general says she is surprised to see him wearing only a loincloth. She can barely look at him. After all, the man is nearly naked, and he misunderstands the reason she is acting strange, asking if she wants to use the bathroom, and saying she can do everything there on the ground since he would be grateful for her fertilizer. This makes her extremely irritated, and she attacks him with a punch, while reflecting to herself how she ever fell in love with this man. After that, the generals ask Murdafin when he intends to return, but he says he does not plan to go back. After all, he likes the life he has been living in the fields, and that taking care of the wheat and seeing it grow is great. At the old man's house, Selen sees many people gathered around Lloyd, and she believes they are his family. So she goes there, introducing herself and giving her marriage forms for them to sign. But a loud noise interrupts the moment, and Alka says it is a flying lizard bothering them again. Rio, excited, says she will handle it, and going outside she sees it is a dragon and starts running away. At that moment, a paper airplane cuts off the dragon's horn, making it fly away. And then the children of Kunlun play with the paper planes and complain about the lizard leaving, even fighting over the creature's horn. At that moment, Rio and Selen begin talking. Rio is sad because her plan to get rich still has not worked, and Selen is also very sad because the paper airplanes were made from the pages of the marriage forms she brought. Inside the house, at the dinner table, all of Lloyd's family and friends are ready for dinner. Alka says that everyone must celebrate because she and Lloyd will get married, which makes Rio, Selen, and Philo furious with her. But the old man smiles and says this is the classic joke of the village chief, and then he thanks everyone for coming and says that this dinner is in celebration of Lloyd becoming a soldier. Murdafin, excited, says that he hunted everything they are eating, being a basilisk, a kraken, and the cursed peppers, and so they realize that everything they are eating is monsters. But even so, everything is very delicious. Out of nowhere, Rio volunteers to clean all the dinner dishes, and as soon as she starts organizing everything very quickly, Else, the fairy, suddenly appears and says that her curiosity and drive are very impressive, although she does all of that for money. At that moment, some relatives were leaving, and then Lloyd's aunt asks which of the girls was Lloyd's girlfriend, and Lloyd, embarrassed, says that none of them are. The aunt says that her vote goes to Rio. After all, she is very dedicated, being a good girl who always volunteers whenever some task appears. Old Pride says that he supports Philo. After all, she is strong and honest. Both of them become shy, and Philo thinks she gained the approval of his parents, and that leaves Selen outraged, because the two girls earned many family points, and she was not able to win the affection of any member of Lloyd's family. After that, we see Elg and Alka talking together. Elg asks about that man, Saul, the villain who looks like a priest. Alka talks about his plans, and Elg asks if they are ready for the next stage. But Alka says not yet, and asks her to wait a little more. But Elg says that she has already waited too long. In the guest room, Hyro, Philo, and Selen are lying down, but Selen complains about how they were chosen, and Philo agrees. After all, Hyro even received a very expensive dress, made with a completely rare fabric, and Hyro, upon learning that, immediately removed her clothes and started storing everything carefully while being naked. Lloyd entered at that exact moment, bringing tea and cookies, seeing Hyro completely naked, but Philo quickly kicked Lloyd, throwing him far away, while Selen traps Hyro inside a cloth using her belt. All of this as punishment for being naked in front of Lloyd. Meanwhile, Mary and the generals talk with Meldfang about what happened earlier. When he and the king were involved, they ask about the person behind it, and he comments that the person should be around 30 to 60 years old. But that 30 to 60 years range is too broad, so they still have no leads about it. And now Lloyd's group is walking together with Elg to the final dungeon, to retrieve Vitra's body. After all, Alka's powers come from him. Lloyd and Rio are acting somewhat strange. After all, last night he saw her without clothes. They arrive at the final dungeon, but it is different. After all, it looks like a mansion. Hyro becomes excited, because there must be many treasures there. But Alka responds that this place has many demon lords, and Elg adds that this dungeon is different from the others, since the others were created as decoys to hide this one. In fact, it was the ancestors of the people of Kunlun who created the dungeons. Elg explains that because of Vitra's condition, Alka's powers were out of control, and if they use the key to open the dungeon now, the demon lords would come in masses. Hyro asks what key that is, and Elg says it is the sacred sword, which, in fact, is currently in the possession of the Azami. Elg asks for the sword to be brought to her, and she also asks for Selen or Vitra. Selen hands him over, very sad, saying that the time she spent with him was not that bad, and unlike Selen, Vitra is extremely happy. Elg makes a pot appear, where she begins preparing meat with Vitra wrapped around it, and after showing the ingredients and the preparation steps, she puts Vitra inside an egg, and after 3 hours it was ready, and the whole meat-making process was just stalling. Then she calls Alka, and when she approaches, she flicks old lady Lully's head, and Alka feels pain, revealing that she is completely without her powers. Elg says that now she only has the strength of a 9-year-old child, and the same mentality. Elg says that they must return to Azami for the tournament that will happen, and she calls Alka to speak privately with her. And while everyone is leaving, Elg is walking with Alka in the forest, and Alka, unaware of the terrible situation she is in, says that she wants to take advantage of her current weakness so that Lloyd will take care of her. However, Elg presses a hidden button on the ground, making Alka fall into it and injuring herself in the process. Thus, Alka realizes that, in fact, Elg intends to completely remove her power. Elg says that this world needs to change, that everything must change, and that she knows what she will do, and who will be the great hero of the new world, and that is why she trapped Alka in that pit. Meanwhile, at the exit of Kunlun, the girls think they will miss that place, until Elg arrives and says that Alka was very busy. She tells everyone to go ahead. After all, Lloyd will take a while since he is saying goodbye to the people, so they leave. And after everyone departs, Lloyd arrives apologizing for the delay. Elg says that maybe Alka is passed out somewhere, since she no longer has her powers, and then Lloyd runs to search for her. Immediately after, Elg goes through the portal alone and closes it. The girls ask where Lloyd is, and she explains that he had to stay behind to take care of Alka, but that would only last for a single day, so everything was fine. The woman who is in love with Melsfang says she wanted to say goodbye to him, but at that moment he appears behind them carrying several vegetables. He says he came to deliver some vegetables to Mario, and the girl who was not even the intended recipient of the vegetables becomes extremely happy, grabs his hand, and runs ahead. And because of that, she leaves Chrome responsible for the exhibition map. They go to the city, and they're Hyro and Elg separate from the rest of the group. Elg approaches Hyro, asking if she would sell her meat wheel arm, and says she could even repair her real arm. Hyro says she will think about it. After Elg leaves, Hyro begins thinking about where she could sell her expensive clothes. She thinks about it while holding her underwear. At that moment, Nema appears while patrolling with a bag in her hand and comments that she was on her way to deliver something to someone. And so Hyro goes with her, since she was going to see Hall. Remember that Hall and Hyro share a bond as sisters. Arriving in Hall's room, Nema gives her the gift and asks what she was writing. Hall says she was working on a book titled How to Defeat a Rival. Her book contains guidelines meant to help weak people survive in this cruel world. Hyro takes the chance to ask Hall who ordered her to take the sacred sword. Hall says it was a man, and Hyro asks what he looked like. Hall explains that he had a child with him who made lollipop noises, and then Hyro remembers out. She always has a lollipop in her mouth. Because of that, Hyro feels a very bad premonition. In the area where the exhibition match will happen, Hyro and Nema reach Chrome. And then the general says that Hyro and Nema are responsible for protecting the king during his meeting with another king. Hyro notices that Sue, that villain, and Lloyd's brother Shoma are also there to watch everything. She finds all of that extremely strange. And when the king arrives, she tells him that perhaps Azami is in danger. The king tells them to have some tea together and talk, since they are close friends of Mary and therefore very trustworthy people. Meanwhile, Alka is still alone inside the pit. And then Lloyd arrives, removing the rock from the hole and jumping inside. Finding her, Alka asks why he came, and he says Elg warned him that she was in danger. Alka asks how he found her. He says that long ago the same thing happened to him and they found him. In fact, it was Alka who found him back then. He decided that he would grow strong enough to reach out to anyone who needed help, and that is why he found her so quickly. Alka looks at him and hugs him, saying that his words opened her eye, and for that reason, she will not let anyone destroy this world. In a house, Elg, Bill, and Shoma talk about everything being ready and that the ending will be decided tomorrow. Meanwhile, Lloyd runs and leaps through the forest with Alka on his back. He says the portal was closed. Alka understands that Elg did it and tells Lloyd to run at full speed toward Azami. And so we reach the final episode of this anime. Lloyd is inside a cannon to be launched toward the city of Azami. Alka tells him not to forget what she instructed him to do. As soon as he agrees, the two elderly men channel magic into the cannon, and then Lloyd is fired. To advance even faster, he uses wind magic on his feet. Now the tournament has begun, and when Alan attacks his opponent, the person under the cloak suddenly disappears and is seen soaring into the sky. It is revealed that his opponent is Mekona in her monster form, who attacks Alan at once and throws him against the wall, making him spit blood. The king of Azami stands and asks Sue what is happening. Sue says they should form an alliance, but one meant to dominate the world. Nema and Chrome try to stop the king from accepting this, but Shoma silences them instantly with just his aura. The king of Azami rejects the proposal, saying Sue has already caused too much harm to his people, and he will not support that. With the king refusing, it becomes Elg's turn. She jumps into the arena, but she is quickly surrounded by Mary, Philo, Selen, and Hyro. They say they discovered her plan and will stop her right now. Elg laughs at them, since they are only normal people facing someone from Kuhan. But Selen says that until now they relied on Lloyd's alliances, but this time they want to be strong enough to walk beside him, not be carried anymore. Elg becomes furious and summons several giant insects that begin attacking the crowd in the arena. She asks what they will do now that she has so many hostages, but Mary tells her not to underestimate the people of Azami, and so everyone starts fighting against the monsters. Shoma says they predicted everything and replaced the people in the Colosseum with disguised soldiers. He comments on how intense the situation is. Then, Meldfang arrives behind all of them, ordering them to leave. Right after that, he challenges Shoma to a fight, saying he will show him the wonders of agriculture. He says all of that while transforming, ending up wearing only a loincloth and attacking Shoma. His strike destroys part of the area and causes both of them to fall into the middle of the arena, him and Shoma. Shoma notices that Meldfang is using 2 divine weapons, and then Meldfang says he will show him how life in the countryside is far from boring. However, Shoma disagrees and says that not only the countryside, but the entire world is boring, and that to avoid feeling that same boredom, he will create a world that requires a true hero. After saying that, Shoma moves extremely fast toward Meldfang, appearing almost instantly in front of him. He says that Meldfang is strong, but that he is still an ordinary person, and because of that he is no match for him. He finishes him with a slap to the stomach that sends Meldfang flying straight into the stands. Meanwhile, everyone else is fighting the monsters. Mary, together with Hyro, says there are too many of them. At that moment, a root attacks the two, making Hyro push Mary away, and then Mekona flies toward Mary at full speed as if she were about to attack her. But instead she only touches her several times, and while everyone is confused, Hyro charges in and kicks Mekona, sending her crashing into a wall. Returning to the king of Azami, Sue defeats his guards and orders the king of Azami to take him to the sacred sword. But at that moment, Alan approaches from behind and strikes Sue's arm, cutting it off and making it fall to the ground. However, purple tentacles emerge from his severed arm, causing it to reattach. The king asks what he is, and Sue says he is human, but created in a different way. He had been created by Alka using the runes human, hero, and immortal. Other runes had also been used. He was created to be a hero, a hope for humanity when the world was still in complete chaos. But once everything was resolved, he was supposed to disappear, yet he did not. And because of that, he became a hope with no purpose whatsoever. He wants to disappear, and for that he must become the root of all evil, and allow someone to become the hero who will defeat him. They ask who that hero will be, and Sue says it will be Lloyd Belladonna. Right after Sue says Lloyd's name, the boy lands right in the center of the arena, making an epic entrance. But, being as naive as always, he asks if the tournament has already started. He sees Elg and says that Alka told him everything, saying that Elg failed to revive the tournament and therefore ran away in embarrassment. In reality, Alka had lied to him. Mary tells him that Elg brought some insect eggs that are disrupting the tournament, and because of that the tournament cannot begin. And so Lloyd understands why there are so many insects around, and he remembers that Alka told him to break Vidra's egg. Because of that, he throws a piece of the ground at Elg, knocking both her and the insect down. But Elg uses magic on her feet to land upright and says that the people of Cullum give her a lot of headaches. But she prepared for this. After speaking, she moves her lollipop toward the sky, summoning a massive stone golem. Lloyd only realizes it is a monster because the girls tell him. At that moment, the golem pulls Mekona into its chest, greatly increasing its power. Mary asks Lloyd to save Mekona, and he answers that he will, but the golem attacks him immediately afterward. He manages to block the punch and throw the monster into the stands, but the creature lands on its feet and jumps at Lloyd to punch again. Lloyd counters with his own punch, destroying the golem's arm. And while the girls celebrate, the golem regenerates. Elg laughs at Lloyd and says she feels sorry for him, but Selen was hidden behind her. Lloyd moves extremely fast and attacks all of the monster's arms and legs, finishing with a strike to its head as it falls, but it regenerates once again. So Lloyd jumps and strikes the monster's chest with a kick, but since that is where Makona is, he is forced to miss. The monster takes advantage of that and punches him, sending him flying into the stands. The monster follows him and lands several punches in sequence. Meanwhile, the girls try to figure out how to stop the golem's regeneration to help Lloyd. Mary says she has a theory. The golem is using Makona as its source of regeneration, so they need to remove her from there, because that might help. Hyro and Mary head to rescue Makona while Phalo handles the insects. During the battle, Lloyd is taking many hits, even beginning to bleed, and in his thoughts he kept saying that he was far too weak to help with that monster. At that moment, the monster was about to step on Lloyd again. However, Meldfond appears holding the stomp and asking Lloyd what his dream was. All of this while holding the monster back. Lloyd thinks about it and finally stands up, saying that he wants to be noble and strong to protect others, and that was exactly why he became a soldier. Meanwhile, Hyro, noticing that the Makona would react to anything that involved Mary, lifts up a pair of panties and shouts that they belong to Mary. Because of that, the Makona becomes very excited and wakes up, leaving the golem and grabbing the panties. Selin, seeing that Elge became distracted with the Makona leaving the golem, took advantage of the distraction and grabbed Vitra's egg, stepping back and starting to speak with him. She asks him to stop ignoring her. She says that she will have to review Lord Lloyd's teachings from chapter 1 to 73 for him, and so she begins speaking one by one. At that moment, Vitra comes out of the egg asking for forgiveness for disobeying her, and he says he does not want to have to review that again. Elge becomes surprised that he managed to free himself from his lament, and Selin smiles, saying that it was the power of her education. Meanwhile, Lloyd was defeating a monster, grabbing it by the arm and spinning it. He throws it upward and uses his wind magic, which creates a tornado and finally defeats it. Elge asks Shoma and Sol for help, but they are recording Lloyd's heroic acts. Elge notices that they only helped her so Lloyd could be the hero. At that moment, a giant rune appears in the sky, making several meteors strike all the monsters in the region, and Alka appears flying, saying that she will stop everything Elge intends to do. But when she was about to finish her, Shoma grabs Elge quickly and goes to Sol's side, who was in the sky under a rune. Sol says he would like to kill her now, but he has many recordings of Lloyd to edit, and Shoma tells Lloyd to wait for more intense moments between brothers, and then both of them enter the rune. After all that, everyone continues their lives, with Alan being pampered by the king again, Meldvang returning to the royal guard and being hit by the one who likes him because he does not understand her feelings, and in Mary's house, everyone gathers to eat Lloyd's delicious food, and he ends the anime by saying a good meal to everyone. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to leave your like. Anyway, a big kiss to everyone, goodbye and see you in the next video. I'm out.